And then sometimes they call and I'm going, that's a state highway, that doesn't even belong to us, then it just gets really quiet on the other end. We get blamed for everything.
Would you like contact?
Okay, we are good to go.
Your state
For- Yeah,
representative.
for MinDOT.
You guys all ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to call the first meeting of the Meeker County Board of Commissioners regular session for 2026 to order today on Tuesday, January 6th. Would you please rise and join me in the pledge? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our first order of business today is going to be the election of the 2026 board chair, and I just want to thank my fellow commissioners for giving me the opportunity in 2025 for being your board chair. So with that,
We didn't have a choice.
I just want to
We
compliment.
didn't have a choice.
You've done-
Thank you.
You've done a great job, but we really didn't have a choice.
But we do appreciate
you
it.
had four
We
choices.
do appreciate it.
With that, I would be looking for any nominations for the position of board chair.
Mr. Chair, I would nominate Beth Oberg.
Okay, we have a nomination of Commissioner Oberg for board chair by Commissioner Van Ort. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I would look for a motion to close the nominations and cast a unanimous ballot for Beth Oberg as our board chair.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that we close nominations and cast unanimous
Okay.
ballot.
I think he meant, he's making the motion, not seconding. So I would look for a second to that motion.
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Samke. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you. And thank you, Paul, for past year. The second order of business is to elect the 2026 board vice chair. So we have a nomination.
I would like to enter Commissioner Van Ort from Commissioner District 2.
Okay. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? If not, I would look for a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, next, we have recognition of Deputy, I hope I don't butcher these names, Roger Muffley and Sergeant Ryan Schutz for Life-Saving Award from the Minnesota Sheriff's Association. Welcome. On December 7th, two Meeker County deputies, Deputy Muffley and Sergeant Schutz, were awarded life-saving awards by the Minnesota Sheriff's Association, which recognizes individuals have taken actions that saved a life. On July 29th, 2025, a call came into dispatch for a person in distress on the North Fork of the Crow River. It was reported that the caller's mother had fallen off an inner tube and was hanging onto a tree that had fallen across the river, unable to get out. Deputy Muffley was the first on the scene and walked and crawled across the tree to reach the victim. As Deputy Muffley worked his way toward the victim, she said that she could not hold on much longer. He was able to reach her, but due to the current, he could not pull her out. He held onto her arms to keep her from being pulled under for approximately 30 minutes until additional help arrived. Sergeant Schutz arrived at the scene, donned his Mustang suit to give him buoyancy, and made his way out to the victim, at which point Sergeant Schutz and Deputy Muffley were able to pull her onto the tree and ultimately to the shore. At the time of this incident, the river was in flood stage, and the water was 8 to 10 feet deep. Thanks to the quick and selfless actions of Deputy Muffley and Sergeant Schutz, the victim was brought to safety. From all of us, please accept our congratulations to you on your well-deserved award and our sincere gratitude for the bravery that you demonstrated last July. Thank you very much. Maybe get a picture.
Thank you.
Did I pronounce it?
Congratulations. Thank you.
Good job. Thanks.
Congratulations.
I can get a picture. Yes, I can. Where do you wanna go here?
So it's shots, not shoots.
You can call them whatever you want.
You want me over there?
No.
Oh, that's right.
All right, everybody ready? Okay. All right, got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very much appreciated. Thank you for serving. All right. Next, we have the public comment period. Does anyone? Yes, not. So January sixth board meeting agenda, we look for a motion.
Madam Chair, after we sent out the initial agenda, we had one addition. It's been included on the online version, but it's approval of the reappointment to the Planning Commission. It's on
Okay.
the consent agenda.
Okay,
Madam Chair, move to approve the amended agenda.
I have a motion by Commissioner Johnson. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Van Ort. Any further discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approve the Meeker County Board Protocol and Public Participation Policies. I think you all got the attachment. Do you want to go over any of that?
Just real briefly, when we updated our board protocol and public participation policies back in 2024, one of the things that the board included in there was a commitment to review and adopt them on an annual basis. And so we've taken it up as the first item of the year, the first action item of the year. There are no changes to the policy from what you've adopted the last 2 years.
Okay. Look for a motion to approve.
Madam Chair, I'll move to approve the Meeker County Board Protocol and Public Participation Policies.
Motion by Commissioner Schmidt. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Samke. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, consent agenda.
It is a hefty one today.
I see that.
We have approval of the December 16th board meeting minutes, approval of the Health and Human Services County and Hospital accounts payable, approval of a resolution designating the newspaper for official publications, approval of the committee appointments, approval of the 2026 appropriations, approval of the 2026 bank depositories, approval of the 2026 electronic fund transfers, approval of 2026 board chair signature on the 2026 warrants, approval of 2026 fund transfers, approval of Litchfield Township paving contract final payment, approval of the CASA 12 paving contract final payment, a resolution designating the county website as, for transportation project publication, approval of the planning commission reappointment. That is your consent agenda.
Is there any questions on the consent agenda?
Madam Chair, I do, and it's actually Phil is here, and that's good. We put all of our things on a website for bidding. That is really the primary site they look at when they go to bid jobs?
There or the state's website, they're linked together, so most contractors are probably going to the state's resource first, but officially, our official publication is our website, which has a link to that state site where our projects sit.
Perfect, thank you.
Madam Chair, I have
Commissioner Schmidt?
a question too on the committee appointments. I want to make a comment on Commissioner Samke taking over for Paul on CCT. In light of the things that challenges that you had there and stuff, I've just do some extra due diligence maybe to bring Darren up to speed on what all needs to be done there. I myself would have liked to see you stay on there because I think you set a lot of good groundwork there, so, but,
I
would too, and I'm the other one on there, so.
I thank you for those comments, Commissioner Schmidt. It has been a very thoughtful process. I've had discussions with Brandy, had discussions with Andrew. And based on those discussions, I think it is the best alternative.
Okay.
Yes, we did have some things that we had to work through, and they're not done yet, but
Yeah.
they're in a much better position today than they were.
Sounds good.
And I want the focus to be on CCT, not
Yep.
on,
Ish,
the past.
Yeah, yep. That's
Thank
my
you, Derek,
comment,
for
that's all.
stepping into that role.
Well, I hope it goes,
Just-
I'm sure it will.
Just follow my
it'll be
lead,
just
Derek. No. Paul never did, no, I'm kidding. I have a question about the newspaper. Do we, I ask this every year, do they ever talk about not designating a newspaper in the age of the internet?
It's something that comes up regularly at the legislature. It would require a change in the statute.
And there's no,
There's a number of reasons why I think that it doesn't change, and I think one of those is it's one of the ways that the state helps to make sure that local newspapers are supported financially.
what is the cost for us on this, if I may? And
We estimate that if we had the same amount of printing as we did last year,
in there.
it would be about $23,000 per
Yeah,
year.
just
Last
think
year it was
it's
about
such a-
33,000 because of the higher cost per columnage that we were paying the Herald Journal.
well, okay, I just ask it every year thinking maybe it'll change, but,
It was in the conversations that I know, like AMC has been involved in, it's, there's not a true replacement for it at this point.
well, I guess I assume everybody's on the internet, and of course, that's probably not true, but, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, makes sense, so, all right.
When I do read the paper, I go to the back page of the paper and look through all that stuff, so.
Do you
That's just
really?
me, but.
What does that take you, about 10 seconds, because they're not very big, so, anyway, okay, that's fine.
At least it's.
I'm not knocking
At least
newspapers, it's just a big expense, and, you know, with all the budgets we've had to do.
But I am glad we're saving significant dollars.
Yeah, we are this year, so.
Madam Chair, question, on the, back to the committees. So are we doing away with the weed committee that?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Ort and I
The-
were on?
The changes that we discussed at the work session are included in there, and those changes are that, as was noted before, Commissioner Samke would now serve on CCT. Commissioner Johnson will serve on Central Minnesota Jobs and Training in place of Commissioner Oberg. And we're gonna eliminate of the board committees, courthouse and grounds, facility improvement, remodel, information technology, and weed committee. And if we find a need for any of those committees or a committee to deal with certain issues in the future, we can certainly create that committee at that time.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Cannabis is legal now, Darren.
I think it's a different type of weed,
Wrong committee, Commissioner.
different type.
Did we have a motion on that?
Madam Chair, I make a
Yes.
motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll
Second by Commissioner Van Ort, and I think there's a resolution, so Corey, can you do a roll call?
I absolutely will. Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Samke,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Ort,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Oberg.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Phil Schmalz, Public Works Director. Approved 2026 road construction letting authorization.
Good morning, again, Phil Schmalz, Public Works Director. As you see on the screen, there's a map of what we're gonna talk about. So annually, I come in and request authorization to advertise the projects that we have coming up this calendar year, in 2026 on our state aid system. So I'll just briefly walk through some of the projects, well, all the projects we have slated on our CASA system for the coming year. So the first one I'd mention is 620-015, so that's the last 6 digits of the project number if you're following along. 047 just represents Meeker County, so I skipped that part. But it's 1.5 miles long, it's up in the upper, it'd be the northwest corner of the county, running north and south. It's our CASA 20, we share that border with Candy, Ojai County. We improved the pavement south of this point last year with Candy, Ojai County. This will finish off that north-south road. It's a notch and widen with an overlay project. So the pavement's in fair shape. We're extending the life of that pavement. We expect it to be about a $300,000 project, and it'll be funded with our state aid construction funds. The second one then, right up next to it, running east and west, CASA 20, starting at the corner of Candy, Ojai, Stearns, and Meeker, and then running south of Coronis. The western portion, the western 1.3 miles of that road is actually under the jurisdiction of Stearns County. So we're working with them to do a joint project. They're gonna run their own, we'll run our own, but they'll probably happen together. Our piece is about 3.7 miles long. There's gonna be some reclaims on some of the poorer areas of pavement, and then overlay with kind of a notch widening and overlay, similar to the north-south piece on portions. We estimate that to be about a $1.2 million project. I have a $1 million state park road account application that's pending, so it'll be important that we get that. I'd say we have a reasonable chance of getting it. We have access to that funding anytime we have a road that adjoins with the DNR or state property. There's a public boat landing on Lake Coronis that is off of this road. The next one we can look at is, oh, go ahead.
On the 20 on the east-west portion, they're starting at Highway 4, that's a full length from 4 to
Yep,
the
yep.
county line?
All of that east-west portion is
Between
being
the-
addressed.
Okay,
My understanding is Stearns County is planning to reclaim the western portion, and then the western portion of ours is a reclaim. And then the pavement's actually newer, once you get to the eastern end of that road, so
Yeah,
that's where
that's
we're
what I thought.
walking into an overlay.
okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Next on the list is 614-024, that's on CASA 14, kind of in the east central part of the county, if you look. That runs from Darwin up to Trunk Highway 24. The plan there is, it's reasonably good pavement. There again, widening the pavement surface a little bit. I didn't explain, but the reason we like to widen our overlays when we get a chance is it helps with shoulder maintenance. When traffic is driving right on the edge of the pavement where it interfaces with the gravel shoulder, you get washout on that shoulder edge. And we constantly bring it back and it constantly gets washed out. So we try to widen the pavement a foot or two, not a lot, just to give us an advantage, improve safety, because it doesn't become such a severe drop-off as quickly. But that's a 7.4 mile project. We estimate about a $2 million price tag on that one. We also have a funding application pending on that, local road improvement funds, LRIP, if you've heard me talk about that. I submitted a $900,000 application for that project. Not real optimistic for that one. The numbers just came out yesterday for that funding program. There was $280 million of applications and there's $47 million of funding available. So I'm not gonna hold my breath on that one, but we'll see what happens. And then one thing I'd like to note, we'll talk about the CASA 26 bridge next, but if we're unsuccessful on probably both of those state park road account and LRIP funding pots, 14 of the project will drop from our 2026 program because we don't have the funds to do that all if we don't get some additional external funding. CASA 26, that's the bridge down south of Cedar Mills. It's currently closed. We're planning to get that replaced this year. The estimated price is $1.6 million. State bond funds for bridges have been depleted, so we're gonna try and move forward with 100% state aid construction dollars on that project. Then we have 070-018, that's a federal highway safety improvement program project for some enhanced edge lines. So we've been using that HSIP funding pot to kind of assist us with improving or upgrading or even just replacing our edge lines with a 6-inch mark. The old marks were 4 inches wide, 6-inch gives a little more visibility. We can't qualify for the federal safety funds. So the federal funds pay for 90% of that project. Next, we have a couple of kind of county maintenance projects, countywide pavement markings, so the roads that don't qualify, or the federal edge line project is only the white paint edge lines. So there's some roads don't qualify for that. Those would be included in the countywide pavement marking project, and then centerline paint doesn't qualify for the federal program either. So that'll be the about 100 centerline miles that we plan to cover. We estimate that to be about $100,000 of state aid maintenance funds we'll use on that project.
Phil, remind me on the white, do you use an impregnated glass or something to make it more reflective?
Glass beads, yes.
Yeah, glass
So
beads,
this
okay.
is a standard latex paint we're using with glass beads. It's a lower cost, lower life product. Sometimes you'll see us use the ground in wet reflective. That's where we actually recess the markings into the pavement to protect them from the plows. And in that case, we use kind of I'd call it a higher end bead with an epoxy paint, so a more expensive product. You'll see those projects come through every few years. We try and do them with federal money. Certain roads qualify for those versus the routine latex markings.
Okay.
But all of our paint has either round glass beads or angular glass elements, I call them.
Okay, thank you.
That's what gives you the reflectivity, otherwise it would look dark, especially
It
when
is
it's
a
wet.
significant difference if you're driving at night.
When it's new, it really shines. Once we start plowing, that's when it deteriorates.
Yeah.
The last project I have on the list is our annual chip seal program. So the plan is to cover CASA 3 and CASA 12. Those were our new pavements from 2025. It's about 16 miles. Price tag on that, we estimate about $550,000, and that would be paid for with state aid maintenance funds. That's all the projects we have planned on our state aid program. There's a number of them on township roads, but we don't need county board authorization for those. So I wasn't planning to go through those today.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
Phil, do you think some of the bids will come in a little less because we're seeing fuel prices down? Or,
Hopefully. I love low bid prices. We are in a pretty good spot with our plan preparation, which helps us get a little better bids. We don't like to be bidding in May to do June construction. So we want to be advertising in February, and we're on target for that. You know, our bid price is gonna be down. I'm hoping for flat at this point. I just want to see them stop going up. The upward trend the last 4 or 5 years has been pretty substantial.
okay,
Down would be great, but I'd really be guessing. I don't know.
yeah.
Any other questions for Phil?
Madam Chair, I'll move to authorize Public Works to set letting dates for the 2026 highway construction projects.
Motion by Commissioner Schmidt. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Samke. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
Tina Shank, Health and Human Services Director.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Tina.
Good morning. We have a few things for you today. We have some contracts that weren't able to be approved at our last board meeting of the year because we didn't have the rates in from the state yet. So these are contracts that we use to pay for services for folks that have a developmental delay or related condition to help support semi-independent living skills. And we have several folks that carry these contracts for us. And then we do have some day support services through ProWorks, which are also included in these. Yeah. And I think that's the list on the, so just asking for approval on these contracts.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Commissioner?
Did you see a price fluctuation from last
No.
year to this year? It
There was-
stayed
was
flat?
It was flat, yep. Yep, it was, there was no change at all in any of these, so, and we just follow the state set rates on these. I was talking to McLeod County, it sounds like they set a separate rate, and I don't know how they configure that. I didn't get into that part of the conversation with Barrett over there, but we just follow the state set rates, yep.
Any other questions? Not, I'd look for a motion for approval.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the 2025 Health and Human Services contracts, including Lutheran Social Services, SILS, Multi-Community Care and Homes, SILS, Divine House, SILS, Bridges to Success, SILS, and ProWorks, DT&H for January 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2026.
Motion by Commissioner Van Ort. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Samke. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, the second item is a little bit more complicated, but I'm really excited about it, and I hope you do too. As you know, Meeker County has worked for a number of years to transform our child protection system. And there has been an opportunity given to us by the state. The grant is estimated to be at about $800,000 per project. They're doing 10 projects throughout the state. And these funds are meant to support work that is through the Family First Preservation Act. That's all prevention work. So Kirsten Langerman and I had met to see if the county, as a county, we would want to apply for some of this funding. And decided really what we would love to see is a conglomerate. That we would love the work that we've started here, and there are several other counties in our region that have been doing similar work. We'd love to make that more of a regional project. So together with the other directors of the Southwest 18 counties, so the Southwest corner, similar to our consortium arena, we contacted Safe Generations, who's the consultation company that we've worked with for many years. We don't currently work with them, but they brought this work into our county before, to see if they would be willing to apply for this grant. So I'm going to walk through with you today a little bit of what this would look like, and what we hope to do with this, and then ask for your approval on a memorandum of understanding. So together, we just aim to create more of a consistent regional model that supports all of our children, youth, and families. As a reminder, our why, children have the fundamental right to belong safely with their families, so supporting children remaining in their families, but in a safe way. And this methodology that Safe Generations brings forward is really focused on child voice and family-driven practice. So instead of the government telling families what they should do, it's what does the family need for support? It flips that, right? Like, what does the family need? How can we help them articulate what their needs are for safely caring for their children? And the goal, of course, is it's kind of twofold. So there are children that will need out-of-home placement, and when they do so, can that be with a safe and trusted adult that they already have in their life, so there's less trauma? And most of the time, we feel that we can keep children safely in their home with the supports of their community and their network. So the common goal throughout the Southwest would be that every child in Southwest Minnesota would have access to this family-driven network safety planning process. So staff themselves are the conduit for this. Our goal is that uninterrupted sense of belonging within your family. So if you think about all those family stories that you have, or all the ways that your aunts, uncles, grandmas, cousins impacted your life, when we remove a child from their home, that sense is often taken from them as well. And that's the part of out-of-home placement that we don't often recognize, that's where the damage lies. So how can those folks also then help keep that child safe in their home? And through safety network planning, we feel like that's a pretty effective method for most families. So again, this is preventative. It's family-driven. We hope that by doing this regionally, we know that we have families that move across, especially within, we see a lot of movement between us and Hutch, and sometimes into Renville, but into Candy. So if you think about if you're a family that has services and has had some connection with the child protection system, that would now have some consistency across all of those counties. And how we're setting this up is that we would work in cohorts across counties is what our hope is, so that our staff also learn from other staff in other counties, and they learn from us, and we build a practice together, so we can share that work and share those successes and those approaches. This also puts us in alignment with the Family First Preservation dollars. This is being developed right now in the state of Minnesota, but there are candidacy, meaning what families qualify. So Kirsten Langerman is on that committee right now, and there's been some proposals sent to the governance committee on that to try and adopt for who can have these dollars in terms of families. And then there's also practice model work that's being done. So there's a federal clearinghouse, and those models that are already approved are on the federal clearinghouse, and then we can also work on promising models. And this is a promising model. In an ideal world, we would have a researcher work alongside us and get this model into the clearinghouse, but we'll see. That might be beyond my scope. For the counties benefiting, we would have free access to this high-quality training from Safe Generations. There are also CEUs offered, so our staff are required under their licensures and under Minnesota state law to have a certain amount of continuing education credits per year. So this would help with that as well. The staff themselves are trained, so when you think about, you can have a staff that assigns services, locates and assigns services to work with a family. And then we usually purchase or pay for those other services, right? Those services could be paid through like a medical assistance, but they also can be paid through county dollars. When the staff themselves is also the conduit of service, it helps us lower those, reduces our reliance on those paid supports, those outside supports. So we do see some cost savings with that. Again, consistent regional model, ability to help each other grow and learn, and increase access to that funding. There's a little bit of, we have a new funding stream through Child Protection using motivational interviewing. So if you are using motivational interviewing with a family that qualifies, and the staff that's doing the interviewing is also certified, there's a process for that. We can now collect a 15-minute increment payment for that, for reimbursement. That's new. This Safe Generations is able to set up the interviewing process for the safety network planning so that it fits within this model as well. So it does also help us increase our ability to bill for that reimbursable time while using this service procedure. So I know that's a little bit complicated, but there's just a number of ways that this is really could be beneficial to us. And this also positions us to implement MAPFA, CWDA. Yeah.
I was glad you had that bullet point on there, because I was, as you were going through this, I was like, there's definitely some overlaps, if you,
Yes.
you know, this is more the preventative approach to MAPFA, which I'm still hoping somebody rules unconstitutional, which there's already been some bullet holes put in that, but, because I think we can, well, we've proved, Meeker's proven, and some other counties in the state, that we can deliver services with existing laws. We can already do MAF, but we don't need MAF, but and there's some unconstitutional pieces to it that have been kind of brought up. So as you're good, that was one of my questions, is gonna be kind of where is the line between this and MAF, but where, this is part of the reason we don't need MAF, but, sorry, right?
Well,
I
it
mean,
is-
and,
I mean,
and I'm
there's-
being critical of MAF, but obviously, but,
Yes.
but I think there's truth in that statement, that this is, these types of programs have erase a need for further programs.
I did just pull our
Say it that way.
2025 numbers for out-of-home placement. So we had 2 children enter placement and nine children in placement total. So comparatively, in 2019, we had 36 placement entries and 71 children in placement total. This is the process that we put in place that allowed us to move these numbers. During that same time frame, and you've seen these stats from Kirsten Langerman in the past, I don't have them with me, but we have also had, I don't believe we've had a reentry into foster care since 2023. We have not had continued reports of maltreatment within the 12 months after intervention. Those numbers are 0 for us as well, meaning when we're working with a family and we've intervened, we're not then seeing them come back through the system right now, right? Like the interventions are effective. Does that make sense? So I think that your point is well taken, that in Meeker County, we've done a lot of really diligent work. There's always more to do. I mean, this proposal would essentially retrain our staff in this process. I'm of the opinion that, first of all, we have new staff that have come on board that haven't been through the primary training, because it is expensive to access on our own, and we tend to just train internally, which is okay too, but this gives us access to that really high quality dive in again. And even the staff that have been here a long time, myself included, like this is just a really good, it's something that you can always get better at. You can always learn more. You can always have this family that maybe you didn't quite reach and now you have a new skill set. You can dive deeper. So I feel like this is the base corner work of what needs to happen. I'm also really excited because if we're able to do this and get the grant, I mean, that's part of it, right? we would be hopefully impacting more families throughout southwest Minnesota with this effective service process. And I think most of the directors are really excited about this because it does lay the foundation for MAPFA. We do have requirements under MAPFA for prevention, so this definitely strengthens that. If a family has gone through preventative services with us and still needs out-of-home placement, those are active efforts to prevent the placement, which are required under MAPFA. And then we can, continue those services if the child goes into placement, which is also then requiring active efforts in placement. So even if the law goes through, this helps set that stage for all of those pieces. There are a couple of additional pieces that would maybe come along, like culturally specific therapeutic services.
Sure.
But this really lays the foundation for what we would need to do.
Madam Chair.
And I was just, to follow up on that, I think one of this program that I was in the room back 2019, when we kind of started, with the judge and Brandy and the sheriff and probation and everybody in the room, and what can we do to make this work for one another within the county. And I think what's happened is, MAFPA to me is legislation where it forces you're shoving a square peg in a round hole. Where this type of program is developed at ground level in your community where it serves the immediate need and the demographic need and all those things, all those pieces. And then you take it out to a broader level where MAFPA is taking the broad level and trying to force, one size fits all, and it's not gonna work very effectively. And so I like this approach. I mean, and that's why you have good results too, because you were able to tailor make it with the existing laws that are in place. We don't need a new law to be able to do these things. And I think it's great that you're going after this grant. And I think more of that is what's needed to actually make an impact to families that need the services within your county.
Cheryl?
I'm preaching to the choir, but I mean, I think it needs to be said.
I know that within your department, you have some technology challenges. Are you able, in this group of counties, if one of your clients or patient, whatever, would move from Meeker County to Renville or Rock County, can you share their information with one of those other counties? Is there a hub, so to speak, of information?
SSIS is the system that houses all of this work.
Okay.
Excuse me, and yes, under certain circumstances.
Okay, it's complicated.
If someone was working with us and they went to another county and there was a child protection report there, that county can automatically, they have to verify that there's this child protection report that they're screening in, and they can automatically access those files. If that isn't the case, and maybe it's that we do this on a fairly regular basis, like maybe we've been meeting with the family voluntarily, or after maybe some kind of intervention, we've continued to work with them voluntarily, and they move. We can get a release of information from them, and then we can work with that county, and we can provide them with whatever, all the case notes or access to the system, or the family network safety plan, or whatever it is that.
So there can be a smooth transition.
Right.
It's more efficient
Yes,
that way. Okay, that was my,
That is actually fairly effective in that system. The issue is the data practice law, right? So there's only certain circumstances where you can just say, yep, here you go.
Okay.
Otherwise, if the family agrees, then we can provide that information.
okay.
Yep.
This is the FFA and 4-H of Health and Human Services.
Yeah,
Ounce of prevention.
go
policy.
4-H.
No, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's really that preventative.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Which we don't spend enough on
yeah.
because we never have enough, right?
Well, your outcomes are spectacular.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've seen really similar, Yellow Medicine's another really great example. We actually connected with SafeGens on their recommendation years ago, and they have very similar numbers to ours. I think they have a fairly good working relationship with the tribe that's nearby. They do very, very similar work and have very similar outcomes. So I don't think it's even just, like, it's not an anomaly, right? Like, we've seen these numbers play out in other places. And it's all about approaching the work in a different way, with a different mindset. And I think it's really effective, so.
That's what I was gonna ask, is that of the other 18 counties, are we going to be then kind of helping them refine how they view things in terms of exposing them to the processes that we use that, will hopefully improve their outcomes as well? Is
You
that
know,
part of what this is, or?
Well, I think that I maybe just wouldn't phrase it quite that way. I do think that because we've done the work, we might have some examples or things. I think Safe Generations is the expert here. They really bring in all the training, and that's, you're actually leading into a perfect for this slide. The first piece is buy-in, right? Like, people doing the work have to think, oh, I can do this, right? Like, I have the capacity to do this, I have the ability to do this, and this is effective, right? So we will start with some training, possibly for a broader audience, including maybe even like adult mental health workers that often support families that, have child protection involvement. They might be working with a parent, they're not working with the family, but they also are involved. Excuse me. So I think that the intention, right, this isn't set in stone, but the intention is to start with that sense of belonging training. Galen Elmore works with Safe Generations and would probably lead through that. He is a former NFL football player, and I think played for the U of M, is from Minnesota, and talks about, had some child protection involvement in his life, and a coach that really impacted his life in a very significant way, and through this sense of belonging, sense of purpose. And I've heard him speak in a keynote, but he's also now developed some ongoing training. So I think he'll be working with us through this project. And I think that will lay the foundation for this sort of why or vision. And we've met with the directors and we've met with the supervisors. So I think everyone is understanding the scope and the depth of the project, and people, it seemed like we're very excited about it. I'm sure there's I had reservations when we were starting, right? Like, it's a big change. But I think that everyone is like hungry for this work, if that makes sense. So we'll move into just a series of trainings. So that'll be the first year or so. Again, hopefully in a cohort type system. And then the second year will be that implementation support. So whenever, especially adult learners are learning something new, you need to practice, right? Like, adult learners tend to learn through doing, not just through reading or listening to a lecture. So there will be these continuous opportunities to try something, come back and talk about how that went, or, get feedback and support from these experts and from each other, which is also kind of how we did our implementation here. I thought that was really effective. If you go to a training and no one asks you about it later, you might pick up one skill you learn, right? But you're not going to be able to implement that fully. You need that support, and you need that system to change. And this is where, when you're talking, Commissioner Schmidt, about the systemic piece has to allow for this work, right? Like, that also has to, you were mentioning the county attorney's office, the sheriff, our schools, right? Like, all of those people need to also be on board. So through this process, we're hoping to also engage those folks. And the counties will maybe lead more of that work versus SafeGen, because they have the relationship with their judge or their sheriff or their whoever. So this year two will be that implementation support. What are we getting stuck on? What do we want to try next? How is this going? Safe Generations uses a method called appreciative inquiry, a different kind of AI. And I use it a lot just by habit with them. It's diving into what went well. Why did it go well? How did you start that? How did you do that? So it's not a negative, why did you do it that way, right? Like, there's never any of those questions. And when people learn, and when you flip that learning on its head and they're learning through a strengths-based approach, then they can do more and more of that. It's kind of like when you tell a toddler, don't jump on that instead of, put your bottom on the chair, right? Like you're giving that replacement behavior. You're actually diving into what does that look like, so that we can actually learn to do those things. Okay, I think we've kind of covered this. I mean, the bottom line here is that this, kind of then has the ability to flow throughout most of the work that we do. It also aligns really well with our family resource centers if we move forward with that. There's a couple of next steps that we could even potentially develop some peer mentor models or some kind of informal supports throughout the community. So there's just a lot of potential with this type of method. I would love to find a research partner for this so we could actually get that into the clearinghouse model. However, the sustainability of this is going to be coming through this new 15-minute increment billing process that we can do, allows us to be able to draw down dollars to continue this work. And the closer we get, or the more evidence base we build for this model, the more likely it is to continue as well. So I'm just asking today that I should actually clarify a couple other things. The details, I'm all up here, right? You've probably noticed that about me. So this is an $800,000 grant from the state of Minnesota. Safe Generations would be the grant holder. It would not be the county. There would be no staff hired based on this grant. The county's commitment financially and time is only about sending our staff and participating. So we would incur some costs, obviously. If we're having staff spend time training, we're going to have that staff cost, which is not anything above what we've already budgeted for. The only potentially additional pieces are, would there be any travel with that or any overnight stay costs with that, which should be minimal. And I mean, we have that throughout the year anyway, where people go to different things. So I don't think it would be a substantial increase by any means, but there may be some cost involved in that. There is a question about whether or not we would need a fiscal host. And if we did need a fiscal host, I don't know that would be Meeker, but if it was, then we would ask probably for a 3% or something from the grant to cover that. This is a partner that we have a long-standing relationship with. I don't have any concerns about them managing this grant. They would do all the organization and set up the cohorts and do all the training. So there really wouldn't, other than participation, there shouldn't be impact to us negatively fiscally. I feel like there's a lot of potential for positive impact fiscally. So I think I didn't get the request for board action called up in front of me, but I think there's a recommended action if anyone would be willing to bring that forward. That's what we've been asking for today.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'm going to talk about that fiscal host for just a second. So they haven't decided who the fiscal host is.
SafeGens they have an accounting department and will manage it themselves unless it's a requirement by the state.
Okay.
So the reason we have to do this memorandum of understanding is because if it's not a county coming forward to request the grant, the state is requiring the counties to demonstrate support for the person applying. There was a question and answer session 2 weeks ago from the state, and those answers to those questions were supposed to be coming out last week. I, to be honest, Safe Generations is doing that. I haven't been paying attention to that, but they know that's a question that we need answered. It didn't specifically say we had to have a fiscal host, but that's often the case, so we're making sure we understand that.
The reason I asked was, as well, Southwest 18, when they got their $9 million grant, McLeod was the fiscal host, and they got 4% just for being the fiscal host.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know how much work that involves for their department, but it just kind of perked my ears when I heard you say fiscal host.
And I think I did talk to Safe Generations that it would be typical if the fiscal host is required that there be some kind of percentage from the grant paid to the fiscal host. This would be a lot less complicated than, I know what we hand in for discretionary dollar requests, This would be a lot less complicated than that, so, you know, I don't know what a fair price for that would be, but that would be negotiated.
Yeah, that's a discussion for the future, but I had to ask that question.
Yeah, I think, you know, 3 to 5% is pretty typical from what, I think there's a lot of that.
Yeah. Any other questions? Not, I'd look for a motion or,
Madam Chair, I move to approve the memorandum of understanding with Power of Partnership, Inc., DBA Safe Generations to participate in a multi-county Family First Prevention Services Act, FFPSA, Prevention Partnership, and authorize the Chair of the County Board of Commissioners to execute the agreement on behalf of the county.
we have a motion, do I hear a second?
I will second that, Madam Chair.
Second by Commissioner Johnson. Any other discussion?
I'd just say, thank you for your work in this. I mean, it's been multiple years of work in this arena, but that's also how, I mean, is there any other areas in the state or any other agencies in the state that are eligible for the same type of grant or?
I mean, the grant, it sounded like that when they did this, hosted this question and answer session, they're anticipating 10 grants, I think, awarded, and they had like 86 agencies there. I think the strength in this grant is that it's 18 counties. I don't know that we'll get it. And if we don't, maybe we need to try and find something, you know, if there's a different way that we could support similar work, I don't know. But we'll see how that goes. I hope that it's hard for the state to say no to a quarter of its geographical.
Well, and I would just say that I know that Meeker County has a reputation of being a leader in this arena. So I think that'll help your chances too. I mean, I've had several through AMC and different organizations, you know, that, we know what you guys, you know, I tell people to go to talk to Meeker, you know, to get ideas. So appreciate that. Hopefully we come through.
Yeah, I hope so too. And I would say, I think I had mentioned this to Andrew, that I would also just like to thank you because this is sort of, you know, we all have our why that we tie our work back to. And this is my personal why. I think it's tied definitely to my profession, but having this available to more families in Minnesota is just, the possibility is making me really energized for the work that we do. So, and you need some of that in this world right now. So,
For sure.
So this was a great opportunity, whether or not we get it, to talk about that work, talk about how we can partner. We had great discussions, and I hope we can move forward in some way as the Southwest 18 in this arena. So see what happens. But thank you for your support on that.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, and I am going to switch spots, I think, with you if you want to run your own slides. But I have Amber here with us today for our next.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Amber.
Good morning. My name's Amber Perez. I'm the Office Support Supervisor with Health and Human Services. And I am going to tell you a little bit about the work that we do to support Health and Human Services and hopefully answer any questions that you might have. So as the office support team, we have myself, the supervisor, as well as 5 full-time staff. And our goal as office support is to set the tone for the people who enter our agency and support the wonderful work that the rest of the team does. And so this is a picture of our team. We've got Ruby, Lizzie, Stacy, Jamie, and Brittany. And we really set the tone for the client experience. So everybody who walks in the door, we want to make sure that they are treated with dignity and respect. Oftentimes the people who come to us are not coming to us on the best day of their life. And so we try to make sure that we greet them with a smile, that we listen, and that they are supported. The cool thing about office support as well is that we are kind of the training ground for a lot of the other areas in our agency. Not necessarily on the social work side of things, but we're kind of a launch pad for some of the other areas. Many of our staff in the eligibility and child support areas come from office support. Currently, 40% of those teams comes from office support, whether that be from many years ago or just recently. So we model professionalism and service standards across the agency, kind of setting that tone for how we support people as they move out to the rest of the agency. Office support is it's an entry-level position, but the way that I think about it is if somebody is going to move forward and we're gonna invest in them as a county, we're gonna train them, and spend that time and energy, I would prefer that they stay with us, and be able to grow in whatever capacity that they want to, and they are supported in that, and they stay with us, so we get to keep that investment. And I think that's worked out pretty well over the last, 7 or so years. So what we do, there are a couple of things that everybody sees. Faxes, scanning, answering the phones, greeting walk-ins, sorting the mail, answering general emails, client support, helping with applications. And those are the things that, when you walk by our desk, you can see those things happening. There are a lot of other things that you don't really see that we do. And there's a list. I'm not going to go through each of them individually. Some of the things that are on this list are working with clients to set up transportation to their medical appointments. And also we handle all of the records requests. So anybody who comes in who's looking for access to their files, we help them get that information, go through, pull the documents, redact the information, and get those things. We help with reports, and whatever the other units need. We spend a lot of time and energy in working collaboratively with the other units to figure out how we can best support their workflow. And it's been a blessing to, I think, everybody in the way that we collaborate. Yeah.
If I may, Madam Chair, I see one thing on this list that I'm sure your staff struggles with, and it says de-escalate clients on the phone. I mean, I can't imagine a more difficult situation. I've been in those, I think we all have. And I just, I saw that one resonated with me right away, thinking, oh boy, people will say things over the phone that won't say in person. And you have a staff that, they gotta feel good about what they're doing, yet they're getting off the phone with somebody who has.
Yes, absolutely.
You're managing crisis sometimes. I mean, it's similar to a dispatcher.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you don't know what's gonna come in on that phone call and what what the crisis is. I mean, so you have to navigate fairly
Not
quickly.
only with clients, but also sometimes with law enforcement.
Yeah.
Or, with a hospital or a daycare provider or, and not only on the phone, but sometimes also in person. We've had, you just never know what is going to be walking in the door. However, we know that my staff know that they are supported, which means that they can support whoever walks in the door with whatever it is that they need.
I just wanted to commend you on that, because I know that's such a difficult, one little item that I picked out there. I'm sure there's many other difficult items but I just wanted to acknowledge that's,
Thank you.
gotta be a difficult.
Yes.
When Amber says it sets the tone too, if you can imagine, like these are our neighbors, right? Like I think sometimes we forget we're not anonymous here, right? Like these are our neighbors. So how we treat them in every interaction compounds, right? So when our front desk is kind, clear, gets them the resources they need, even if they can't answer the question, says, I hear you, I'm gonna try and connect you, can I call you back? Like when they go that extra mile, the next person, eligibility or social work or whatever, they do really set the tone. If you can imagine the flip side of that, if they were angry or dismissive or I don't really care about your problem, how that's gonna land for the next person, right? It really makes that impact throughout the agency. So I think that's what we talk about with, Amber is really clear with her unit about that why, that how people are treated when they walk in the door makes the difference for the whole life of their journey with us. Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because when I first started in this position, I started at the front desk and then became the supervisor after about 6 months. And have you ever walked into like a government building and the person behind the desk is like, you're on my time. Like I'll get to you when
Yep.
I can, right? That has been my whole goal, is to make sure that nobody walking into our office ever feels that way. And so we teach that, we model it, and I'm really proud of that. So we're not just a front desk, we're kind of a hub, right? So we have 3 different sets of customers that we serve. We serve the clients that are looking for services from us. We serve the agency staff. And then we also partner with our community, our service providers, CCT. We work very, very closely with CCT, law enforcement, schools, our hospitals, assisted living, daycare providers, and then other departments within the county. So yeah. Is there any questions that I can answer for you?
Questions? Well, your picture, you're looking like a very welcoming, happy group, so that was, when I looked at that, I had a pretty positive feeling, so kudos. It's important, you're the first they see, and it's very important, so. Anybody else?
Just thank you for what you and
Yeah,
your staff
thank you
do.
very much for what you do, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
I do too. I love Amber's team. I mean, I love our teams, but
Yeah.
they're just a great group. You can feel the positive energy just when you walk in the doors.
Good.
I
Thank
think
you.
that-
Madam Chair, if I may, Beth and I have a meeting at Prime West. And
On
so
Thursday?
are there any hurdles that we need to bring to their attention on Thursday from the transition that you maybe haven't already?
we did have some staff that might know best about that was on Christmas break last week. Nothing's been brought to my attention. We did get some things published on the website for staff or for clients to be able to assist them with the transition. I know that the front desk and eligibility has been fielding calls and has had those scripts in place. What I was hearing from Prime West and what I passed on to our staff is that they had called the pharmacies. They were open on New Year's Day.
Prime West was open on New Year's Day.
Their customer service, yep. They called the transportation, where there was a hot spot that you could anticipate there may be an issue, they informed those folks ahead of time to try and minimize those things. I was pretty impressed when I heard them. They called I guess you would say an emergency meeting in December for the directors and eligibility supervisor type folks and went through their plan for that, and I thought it was pretty thorough, pretty thoughtful. Whenever they can get information out to us in a format that's helpful, they have to get that approved apparently from the state so that's a little bit tricky. So it would have been maybe more helpful for them to have approved language for us to use, but we were able to kind of just script from some things they did provide, and they were really clear about what they were doing to assist with the transition, so we were able to script from that. So it really wasn't a barrier, but I thought they did a really nice job of making sure that people had access to that information.
I saw a little bit on social media about it, and then I think I talked to Tina, and I really appreciated what you put on the website. It was very, I mean, people get nervous when they get, all of a sudden, we're not gonna, and in Prime West defense, we thought it would be in a year. And
Right.
so in a month, so I think they adjusted, as they always do. They're a great organization, and they adjusted well.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen any more about it on social media, so I'm assuming
That people are getting their
that
questions
people are
answered.
getting their questions answered. I think the biggest thing is they worry they're not gonna be usual, I can't keep my doctor, I can't do this, the
Yeah.
usual stuff that's out there, so.
Well, and that, for any of us, that is concerning.
That
when
would
there's
be,
changes.
absolutely.
But Prime West does a really good job of, if that provider doesn't have, I've personally had that with clients where they want to see a provider that doesn't have a current contract with Prime West, their contracting will reach out to them and
Yep.
will meet with, they'll figure it all out. That doesn't have to
They,
go on
they
the
let them
client.
go where they're not contract, I mean,
Yeah.
they're very fair, and so, and the fact that they had people working on New Year's Day, tells you. So hopefully, I'm thinking it's gonna be smoother than what I was worried about.
Because we had a high at one time, around 4,700 enrollees at Prime West. December's numbers show 3,300
Yeah.
in Meeker. It's gonna be interesting to see now how that changes in January, because we are the sole source.
Yeah, and I think it was about 600 Blue Plus, right? I saw those
Yeah.
emails.
I think some of that is because we just, in the last couple of years, started doing some actual marketing, right? And Blue Cross does marketing all over, and so they hear Prime West, and they don't understand what we actually do, and I think that marketing has helped with seniors as well as this. They have a great program for seniors that qualify. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, and some additional benefits. I mean, I think most of the health plans have some additional benefits. I think with Prime West in particular, there's the food benefit
Yep.
for certain
They have fresh
populations, which
food
is
benefit,
pretty,
and just a whole bunch of
pretty
stuff.
impactful benefit for those.
I
folks that
hope it's,
qualify.
I hope it's going smoothly. So,
No one has called me. That's
yeah,
usually.
I haven't heard any more
sign.
either, so that's why I think maybe it is, so.
And I think that our front desk and our eligibility had really accurate scripted information, and Prime West provided that additional support through their center. So if people did have questions and contact, we had the information to give them. So I think that was the key point, that people, and like we heard from Amber's team, I think we are a trusted source. I hope we are. That's the feedback I typically get. So if people called us for information, we were able to give them, I think, accurate information and connect them to further information, so,
Very good.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Right, set public hearing to consider deer hunting firearm limitations in Meeker County.
Yes, Madam Chair. So, we've been, as you know, last year, the legislature changed, the law which repeals the statute that creates the shotgun zone for deer hunting, season. Meeker County was located within the shotgun zone. Within that repeal, though, they included a provision that allows counties to, regulate the types of firearms that are used to hunt deer within their county. Basically allowing them to go back to a shotgun-only regulation. This is an issue that has garnered a lot of public interest. I actually had someone stop me earlier today, before 8 o'clock this morning, to ask me what the county board was going to be doing about it. So it has definitely garnered a lot of public interest, and for that reason, we want to make sure that we have, give the public ample opportunity to provide feedback on this specific issue. And so we're looking to schedule a special meeting to hold a public hearing to consider an ordinance. The ordinance itself would restrict to shotguns. The reason being is because if the decision of the board is we don't want to do that, we want to allow for rifles to be able to be used, there's no action that the board would have to take. The default is that if we want to have the restriction, we have to adopt an ordinance. If an ordinance is adopted, in order to have the restriction be included in the DNR's guidebook, we would have to do so by May 1st and then inform the DNR, and then they would include that in the information that they have for the 2026 hunting season. So we'll be looking to, we briefly discussed this back at our August 5th regular meeting, and the consensus of the board at the time was to hold a public hearing in early 2026 to get feedback from the community. After hearing from Commissioner Schmidt that the date that we originally proposed of February 24th was not going to work because he's going to be out of town, the date we'd be looking at doing would be February 17th, which is the same day as our regular meeting. My suggestion would be that we would hold that in the evening to provide, more opportunity for people to come. Certainly, we don't have to do that. The other option that we could look at is, where do we want to hold the meeting? Do we want to hold it in this room here with 200 as an overflow? Or do we want to do it in the Bernie Acker Auditorium downstairs? The auditorium is available that evening. The upside to having it down there is it gives us an opportunity to have everyone be in the same space. The downside is then we would not have the ability to record and broadcast that meeting, which I know is something that people have come to enjoy and appreciate. We'd be able to do that if we did that in here. And we would develop a process so that folks who are in the room next door have the ability to live view the meeting, and then in our public comment process, we would have them come into the room here and provide that information or provide their comments. So with that, I'm looking for feedback and direction.
Are we expecting that many people?
It's tough to
I've
say.
heard nothing. I've heard from one person that I met on the street about this.
It's tough to say. I know some of you have gotten more calls than others. I know that we had someone stop by the counter just last week asking about it. We've received a fair amount of interest. I know that I saw information shared about it on social media come during the hunting season when people really had it at the forefront of their mind. It's tough to say if we're going to get a lot of public interest in the topic or not.
I mean, Cheryl had I read that. That was interesting, but that's the most I've really, so I don't know. The last time we had a public hearing at Bernie Acker Auditorium was the unconstitutional non-smoking ordinance that was passed, so, just saying. In Meeker County, and it was full. It was definitely, do you remember, Corey?
Oh, I do. I still have the binder.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not anti going into Bernie Acker if you think then I would rather do that if I don't think it's fair to put people over there if they don't fit in here, but can we fit more people in here?
I think we were talking earlier, I think when we had the township meeting, which was very full in here, I think
It
we had
was.
around 45 people
Yeah.
in the room. We would easily be able to fit that same number next door. And then, as I said, what I would anticipate we would do is a sign up to come and give comments. And so then we would call people in and then have them come in the room. We'd have a live stream in the next room.
Are you when you say February 17th, would we hold our regular board meeting first?
Yep, regular board
And then-
meeting in the morning.
Then in the evening.
Oh, and then this in the evening?
I
Okay.
definitely agree with the timing because people are at work and that's why for something like this, you want to have it when people can come.
Is there any option, if it fills up and we don't have the space, can we just move downstairs? Is that too difficult?
We would not have the ability to record and broadcast it then. And if what we're gonna tell people is that the meeting will be recorded, don't worry, you don't need to come, you can watch the comments if
Need to
you're unable
decide
to make
ahead
it.
of time.
And then we make the decision last minute to go downstairs, that,
That wouldn't work.
we wouldn't, yes.
Okay.
Andrew, I have to ask this question. If we have an owl, couldn't we record it and then rebroadcast it via that?
I'm concerned about the quality.
Okay. Yep, and that's fair, because that can be subject.
Yeah.
With the owl.
Steve, what do you think?
I think use this room. I mean, to get 40 people to show up to a public hearing is exceptional. So I mean, I would guess, I would say out of the folks I've talked to that have reached out to me, there might be 5 or 6 that would actually come. You know what I mean?
That actually come as the.
Yeah, versus, if you take a measure of the people that have talked to me or reached out to me over the course of the last 3-4 months, are there gonna be 4 or 5 that show up? Very possibly, but
Yeah.
times, so 20 people maybe? I don't know. I think I would prefer to use this room and have it recorded.
I agree on the recording.
Because we wouldn't be making a decision that night anyway.
No, it's just,
So it's just basically,
You could. It would be a regular meeting, so you would have the opportunity to, you don't have to. You could come back and have the ordinance be then adopted at a later date, if that's the option that you choose.
Cheryl?
I would prefer to have the meeting in here and recorded. If we have to have some overflow, we do have an option for
Sure.
that. Is there any way to fit a few more chairs in
Well, I
here? Can
think
we
we
pull
could.
that forward
Yeah.
and put
we-
in
we
another
can-
row?
We can tighten it up.
We can tighten it up a bit?
But over
My
there,
count, there's like 47 there right now.
Yeah,
some
I was
more probably.
counting as well, yeah.
And if you remember when we had the township, we had a couple sitting on the table, folks over there. We still had some room in here.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we can move that table back and put a few more in a row there and, yeah.
you can even move that
Squeeze them
table
in.
to the
Yes,
hallway.
exactly, move the table to the hallway. I think we would like to have that recorded.
My preference would be this room.
okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. So I think that's more, I think this is the preference to have it in.
And my preference, you know, after we've heard their information and so forth, not to make a decision right away.
I would rather not decide that.
I would like to analyze what I've heard and
I
let
would
it
too.
absorb and let it flow and not look to make a decision that particular.
I would agree.
But that's up to everybody else. That's
That was
my
pretty good
feeling.
information that Cheryl,
I agree, it was good
I've heard
information.
quite a bit along that same line.
That's
So it
kinda
was
what
good
I-
to see it
yeah.
in that.
One of the comments that was also made to me was your meeting date is close to the time you may need to make a decision. Do you have enough time to make a decision with that 24th? So there was I'm saying that to say there was a concern that we have enough time to absorb the information, which would confirm, let's not decide on the spot, but give it a little time before we decide. Yes, exactly.
Because we'd be right back here on the 3rd of March.
But don't we have to decide by the 1st
Of May.
of May, 1st of May? Okay.
So we have ample.
So was
Okay.
it the 24th or the 17th?
was March.
Targeting the 17th.
Okay.
We have print,
24th on
and that's because
I
'Cause Steve's
yesterday I
gonna be
learned
gone,
that
so.
Commissioner Schmidt's not gonna be in town, so.
Conferences,
Not Belize.
Where are you going for that?
DC.
Hawaii? No, DC.
That's what I said.
I'm
We're
sitting
going to
thinking,
Mexico?
Hawaii. Okay, all right.
But I don't want to put the decision off any longer than.
No,
we have to,
I don't
because
either.
This is one of those that everybody's
Yep,
talking
yep.
about. It's an answer
Let's-
and.
let's get it over
Let's
with.
move to set the meeting, yeah.
All right,
So
so,
I would be looking then for a motion to set a public hearing on February 17th at 6 PM to consider a draft ordinance.
February 16th or 17th?
17th
At 6 PM.
I would move that, motion.
motion by Commissioner Johnson.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schmidt. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. We will have it February 17th at 6 o'clock in this room.
Yep, we will get that published in the.
And so, I understood you now. I've been really, haven't paid a lot of attention to this. So if we do nothing,
If we do nothing, then rifles would be allowed.
okay,
Right now, the law is
shot,
rifles.
Rifles are allowed.
rifles are
Temporary
allowed.
one, the state one to rifle, so.
So it's to
nothing,
change
it
that,
just
right, okay.
Stays,
Stay
the
the
state,
course.
All right,
So now
so
my
there
next,
is a law already.
my next question, how are we gonna advertise this? Because that was a concern that a couple of folks asked me when they talked to me was, how are we gonna find out about?
So it's gonna be published in the paper. We're also gonna publish information on our website as well.
Okay. It'll probably be on the radio too.
so then, so I'm assuming then that different counties can have different rules?
Yes.
It's up to the
Yeah, so
So you might
Granville
do
County,
something here.
right down there by Cosmos, could have an entirely different rule
Right,
than us.
that's-
Not entirely, it's either or, cause there's
Either
no
or.
caveats with this.
Correct.
It's one or the other.
Correct.
Okay, good. Any other concerns on that? Move ahead to approve county administrator goals.
So, the goal list that I've put together, this year is relatively short compared to what we've had in the past, but that's because, there's a lot hidden in goal number 1, which is to, implement the goals outlined in the strategic plan. There's 15 items in there, and we'll continue to work on those. Otherwise, the other goals, for 26 would be to, develop the budget, successfully negotiate labor contracts, monitor progress of the Excel transmission line, and develop and implement a comprehensive communication strategy for the county. Those are the 5 things that I've come up with based on the feedback that I received from all of you as part of my evaluation process.
I personally have nothing that I would add to the, well, I do have one, but I won't say.
Yeah.
We'll get that done.
So you don't have,
I have nothing I would add to the goals that are listed here. I don't know, Cheryl?
No, I like them.
I'm fine with them also.
Agreed.
Darren, Paul? Or
Yeah,
Paul, we
that's-
already did Paul. Steve,
Yep, I'm good with
You've
it.
changed his name.
you're getting off easy this time. Aren't you?
Well, it's 15 and the
Five,
one.
well, there's only five.
I would recommend that next time you do your goals, you list all 15 as a
Look
sub,
better for you.
A, B, C, D.
No, I do have to say, I did intend to attach the strategic plan to this, and I realized it didn't get attached, so
Oh,
it would have been there, but
it does.
less.
I'm
Yeah.
just seriously gonna say, I serve on boards where we do strategic planning and nothing happens, so this is good. If you're
Yes.
gonna go to the time
To
and
follow
the
through
trouble
with
and the
it.
expense, to follow through is important, so.
Agree.
All right, we don't need a motion on that or anything, or we do?
We do.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the 2026 county administrator goals.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Good.
Pick one, Commissioner.
I've
Steve,
gotten quite a few
Steve got
seconds
that.
in today. so-
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Andrew.
Well, that's true.
All right, Board of Commissioners update. Oh, administrators report, I'm sorry.
I just have a couple of really quick things for you. The first is, we want to schedule a date for a special meeting, a work session with our legislators, like we did last year. Have an opportunity to talk to them about, the AMC priorities and, issues that they see potentially coming down the pike, during the legislative session. We don't necessarily have to figure that out right now, but I'm gonna ask Corey to, send that out and do a poll of all of you. Probably targeting early February before, I think the session starts February 19th, 17th that week. So we wanna do it before session starts. Maybe that first week in February is kind of the area. Oh, that's,
It's filling up fast.
as I said, we'll figure this all out over email.
16th would be great in February.
Maybe the
We're
last.
gonna be gone the 4th to the 11th.
Oh, okay. Maybe the last week of January. We'll find a date that works for all of them, so. Otherwise, as a reminder, county's offices are closed on January 19th in observance of Martin Luther King Day. And that is the conclusion of my report.
Thank you. Board of Commissioners Committee update. Steve, do you want to start, or?
Yeah, I can. I got my new planner, so I don't have a lot of notes from last month, but really, since our last board meeting, Grove City Care, finished out the year. Doing really well over there in the program. We are looking at some long-term budget shortfalls. So we've, actually, are looking, Friday here, we will have it go through an annual, but kind of line item budget. We do once a year. We go line by line through everything and put in projections and go through that. So we'll be looking at some changes, but over to, at the current rate, we'd run out of money or run out of surplus by, in about 2.5 years. So within this next year, we want to make some, we will make some significant changes to the budget. Also talking with Tina a little bit to see if there, I think they still feel there's some things we do over there that could be, some reimbursement on. And that's something that Paul Bukovic had talked on too, is creating a long-term sustainability approach. A lot of what is done over there is through grant writing right now, and it's,
Donations, they
and
get some
what,
donations.
what happens when your grant writer retires, you know what I mean, type of thing. So that's kind of our long-term focus there. Other than that, a lot, I'll be going down to St. Paul Wednesday and Thursday, or I'll probably stay down there for SNAP, subcommittee meetings and DCYF meeting. And we also have Thursday night, got an EDA meeting here back in the county, so. But, some things on Grove City Care, just to give an example of some of the things they, do, their December numbers, just for clients that they served. Their meal count for December was 255 meals. Their foot care clinic in-house was 35 in Grove City. For the year, their foot care or their meals served, for the year was 3,255 meals. And, they had over, 925, volunteer hours. And total foot care clients for the year is right at 100 clients, and I think they are using, there's one, they branched out into Cosmos and also, Zion Lutheran in town here they're working with too, so just some numbers on that, but other than that, Grove City Care, and then, like I said, the SNAP stuff coming up this week. We were actually scheduled, I noticed it got canceled here this morning. We were scheduled to meet with the governor tomorrow morning at 12:30, and that got postponed till later in the month. So,
I wonder why.
a lot going on, and they were
Yes.
concerned that he wouldn't be
Yeah,
able
I'm
to time
kidding,
for
I
it
know.
anyway, so. That's all I got.
Gary?
I'm not sure, did we report on the, that last, Family Resources Center gathering?
Yeah, you talked about it at the
We
last
did talk about that, and, we do have the economic development, the Mid-Minnesota Economic Development Group, that's, again, they're doing pretty well in terms of their loans getting paid back, so if you know anybody who's looking for small business loans, they've got some money available. And got the AMC Nuts and Bolts conferences on the later on this month, and what was the other day? The SB meeting that I'm gonna be making sure I'm there for you comes up.
The Emergency Services Board
Yeah.
meeting, that's the last Wednesday, the 28th. And I might have to be at that one anyway, Darren, so
Oh,
we'll coordinate,
okay,
but
we'll figure that out.
Yep.
I think that's all I've got, just. Oh, and I did report to the Dassel City Council on the 15th. I don't know if I mentioned that before. So, yeah, we're good.
Paul,
I have a very short report,
tell us about where you've been during vacation.
but I have absolutely no meetings that I attended and very little communication from anyone. So from our
That's
last
good.
board meeting until yesterday when, well, actually, of course, you go through your emails, but I actually sat down yesterday and did my know before and did the ones that are 22 days out. So I'm 100%.
You really got a lot of time on
complete
your
and
hands.
ahead.
Wow.
So, but yeah, it was nice to get away.
I think it's
I'm so
important
far
that,
behind, he quit sending.
I think it's important that everybody have a couple
When you're at
weeks
like
like that.
846
It
days
just
behind.
decompress a little, so.
Has everyone changed their password?
I have not.
I did, but
Are we
I'm so
supposed to?
afraid I can't remember it.
I know.
Were we supposed to?
Yes.
Today is the.
I believe the 8th.
Didn't you get something from, doesn't it come up that you need to change your password? Recommend you change your
I
password?
didn't see.
You'll get locked out of the
I
system.
think it's rolling based on when you maybe originally.
Oh, so maybe not
Maybe Cheryl and
everybody.
I are on the same.
No, I got one. I had to do mine last week.
Well, you gotta, maybe it's on the laptop.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very
It's the
possible.
laptop.
It's on the
The
laptop.
problem is you gotta remember the old one, cause it asks you for your old one to put in the new one.
I don't think it
Mine's
did
still
ask
written
it.
right here. It's easy.
Oh, jeez.
He's got, oh, ouch.
It's in the training.
Okay, anything else, Paul?
Nope, that's it.
Commissioner?
The only thing I had was a, executive finance meeting for the Pioneer Land Library Board, and it was somewhat brief. It was on the day we had that wonderful snowstorm and they shut down the roads in Wilmer,
Oh, wow.
and so, yeah. On track fiscally, I think we've spent about 83% of our budget as of the end of November, so all good. And they were still just finalizing the process of, negotiations for the head librarian, so.
Cool.
That was it.
Cheryl, I'd seen somewhere yesterday or in the last day or so, maybe in the Litchfield Rail, the city council, didn't approve increase for the library to locally, so I think they're at 3% or I don't remember.
It was a 5%, same as what they asked us.
And they flatlined it, so
Yeah.
just,
Everybody's in the same boat, I think,
Yep.
so.
Yep.
yeah, I'm kinda surprised that the Minnesota mayor's finally,
And I see yesterday that our local mayor also signed now. They're up to over, the numbers have risen, 200
300 or
and
something
some.
like that. But I'm surprised that it took them this long into the year to,
Jump in.
I don't know how much difference that's gonna make.
I don't know either.
See, I guess. Anything else?
So that's all I have.
I've had a very quiet time too, which has been kinda nice. I've had some meetings at the hospital going over our management agreement and some things like that, exec board meetings. And I had a Woodland meeting, but that was short and it was the same day as the snowstorm, so everybody remoted, so I just enjoyed some time with family and, tried to relax a little bit before it gets busy again, so yeah.
Just a comment on that hospital piece too, on that project. There's some question about the county board putting in $30 million into that project.
That's not-
So my point being, as we move through this, we need to make sure that, we explain that piece.
And I think-
How that works.
I think Mary Ellen and her staff have done a good job of
Sure.
social media, putting it out there. There was some, as usual, the news came out and they're like, well, we really need that, that's gonna raise your taxes, Meeker County Hospital has never taken any levy money, ever, so we just and they won't be now. So we just have to remain clear on that, because that's just, and I understand why people think that way, because in this crunch time, all of a sudden we see a county hospital putting on a $50 million. So, they'll continue to do that and have meetings and go on the radio and, do their social media stuff and do what
But
they have.
I just wanted to point out.
Absolutely, it's
that's a-
good, yeah,
It
We
will
need
not
to-
impact your tax levy.
absolutely
Yeah.
not.
So-
It never has and it never will. So,
Call me crazy, but I will respond to those on.
I know,
Social media.
I'm so proud of you and I'm like, well, she's braver than me, cause usually I don't know when to stop, so, so.
Being concise and.
I know, so, yeah. The other thing I just wanted to talk about a minute, I serve on a board where we're doing a experiment with AI for kind of a test, I think. For, for instance, I think it could be used for for enrolling people, not enrolling, that's not probably but, right, when people come into social service, they have to fill out some forms. And it's gonna be interesting, they had a link we could go look at and get in and try to, are we talking about that? Cause it's gonna be, I'm a little skeptical about it, but I hope we're staying on top of it, because I think there's gonna be some companies moving forward that are gonna wanna come in and help us with that.
Yeah, there's multiple layers to kind of the technology needs that HHS has. Some of them, we have some ability to implement some things that helps to make our staff more independent, or not independent, more efficient without the state having to take action. And there's the bigger things that requires the state, because they aren't our software, it's the state software.
Yeah, so,
There- but-
so I don't know,
but there are-
so if they call up initially, right, and they have to,
Yes.
I don't know what the first
So-
step is, they have
So
to.
Stearns County implemented a software that is AI-based, where
Okay.
the first person you talk to is the software.
Okay,
And helps to reduce the call volume that the individuals who work for the county are having to take. Their call volume not even just because of the size of the county, but also I think proportionally compared to our population, far exceeds and was unmanageable for the set that they had. Our call volume is not at that point. We are not to a point where it's so unmanageable that we need to. There are times where it's very busy, and certainly our eligibility staff are, I think, fully tapped out. And as we look, we've kind of identified some anticipated costs for the implementation of the state and federal policy changes that are coming down the pike towards us. Eligibility is one of the key areas where we're
Right.
going to have to take on some costs. What does that look like? Is it additional staff for the software? Is it a combination of the two? It's probably both, right? And So the answer to your question is yes, there are things that we're looking at. There are things that we're actively exploring and kind of in partnership with some other counties too.
So they call a number and that's answered by AI, right?
Yes.
And then they can tell you if you have to proceed. Is that kind of what Stearns is doing?
That's my understanding, is some of the basic questions, what's the status of my claim? What hours are you open?
Okay,
All
so
of
it's
those
things
sorts of
like
things.
that.
Basic questions are able to be answered by the software.
Yeah.
And then, and it's more interactive than the call tree that we've often gotten used to, where you try and hit the right number to get to a live person. Eventually you can get to a live person.
Right.
Representative.
Yes.
Yeah. I just think I think it's kind of a double-edged sword, but if we can save in some areas.
I think it's very common at,
Yeah.
no? Any
All right,
call you make to
I
the
think in
organization?
the long run, any sort of technology enhancement that we take on here at the county level is going to prevent future costs. It's not going to allow us to reduce existing costs.
okay, good.
So, Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes.
just going back to the firearm ordinance, if we allowed rifles, and 2 years from now, we had data that said, no, it was a poor decision, we can go back and pass a resolution?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, you can add, you can
Okay.
always add to it.
okay.
That's what we're doing now. By having the public hearing, we're open to the idea of adding to state regulation.
There isn't a
We
specific.
can't delete.
The only reason for the May 1st deadline is to make sure that it's included in the DNR's information, which is what we would absolutely want to make sure we did. If the opposite is true as well, you could adopt an ordinance, set the regulation, and then pull it back at some point in the future as well.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else come before the
Just
board?
the email Bob Herman passed away.
Oh,
Forest City Stockade for 50
Yeah,
years
Bob.
and
yeah.
multiple other things, and
When?
The 4th, the night of the 4th.
Really?
I guess
Oh, I
Betty
just see that now.
yeah.
heard a thump, went to check on him, and he was gone.
He was a force at
Man,
Forest
he's
City.
He was an icon in that Forest City area for
He was a nice man,
fixture.
for sure. Very nice man.
Wow.
Wow, that's too bad.
I saw him frequently, always big smile and a
Yeah,
hello, no matter where you saw him,
he
it's
was a
just-
kind of guy that never really seemed to complain. He just found a way to forge ahead. So, well, our sympathies to the family.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Is there any, I don't wanna open this can of worms.
Then Darren don't know.
No, but I'm just, in the middle of Minnesota and the whole fraud stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna bring it up, but it's
anything
sickening.
that we need to be on top of, or check in, or
And
have any answers for any, is there,
I've had the conversation with Tina as well. I just said, if there's something that, you
Can we
need
get our
to
money,
look
ba-
at,
can we get our money back?
take a
We
look.
sue?
So kind of as we discussed, I think at the last meeting or the meeting before, the stories that we're seeing about fraud are really organizational level fraud, right? It's a group of folks who have set up a company and then are fraudulently billing. The folks that that is not at our level. They are not billing us, they are typically billing the state. When we look at the client base that we work with, it's individuals, and we're helping them connect with services. Where we are doing billing for a specific service, there's a client who's tied to that. And if we had a service who was billing us, and then we have regular communication with that client, right? They're meeting with them on a monthly basis or a periodic basis. And if through that communication, the client is saying, well, I'm not using that service, that's our opportunity to flag that and say, hey, why are we getting billed for this? And of course, we have structures in place through our internal controls to make sure that the things that we are being billed for are in fact services that have been provided, that they are real invoices, all of those things. And so, I have pretty strong faith in our ability to, suss out and identify fraud at the county level. And so I have less concern about that. Certainly, it's in, you know, there are places that, you know, we still have a fraud investigator that we work with on, the financial services side of things, so eligibility, you know, because there are folks who do try and take advantage of the systems, and, so we do work through that. Those things do happen, and we are able to then go and recoup some of those, but it's relatively small dollars compared to what's been discussed at the larger levels.
That's been on my mind in the last few weeks, thinking, are we covered in the county so we know we're not? I mean,
I had a conversation with Tina at the annual meeting, just, you know, it's a good time to look at what we do and how we do it, and, you know, just, I mean, it's on the forefront, so let's make it on the forefront of our conversation at least, and look at our systems and the people we work with, and you know, make sure that I think we're doing a good job, and I think Tina feels confident we're doing a good job, and as far as that goes, I mean, I made this comment to Andrew, you know, when I was in the military 40 years ago now, just about, 40 years next week, actually, I left for basic training, but, in every office you walked into back in the late 80s, it was everybody's job on any military installation. There was a sign, you know, report fraud, waste, and abuse. So, whatever program it is, whatever part of the county government we're in, if there's something that it might not be unintentional or what have you, we all need to be watchful for it.
well,
at this
and you
level,
know,
and
we serve on boards where we take training for fraud, waste, and abuse, but I'm gonna tell you what, I'm gonna be honest, you don't really think all that's but now I question everything. Like, has somebody set up a company and we're paying that company and we don't even know if the company exists? I mean, that's a possibility. There's some things coming out here, if they're true, that
think
are
that's-
beyond the realm of, I mean, how do you even, how did we get there? Right? How can you have a restaurant that seats 35 people feeding thousands of people and getting millions of dollars?
Yeah, I obviously,
I
I
mean,
can't,
so it really, no, it really makes you think.
A lot of takeout.
Yeah. It would, and that's just, and now today I heard Mississippi is under investigation. Medicaid fraud that's been going on for years, and a whistleblower tried to report 10 years ago and nobody did anything about. And it's millions of dollars that have been going to a company that it isn't going to any of the poor people that are eligible. So it's not only frustrating for us, I can imagine how frustrating it is for our taxpayers. And then here we sit, raising our levy, which we have to do, we don't have a choice. But I worry about how they're ever gonna stop it. It's worrisome to me.
well, I think,
Create a new department.
Well, I mean, that's what they'll do. Create more bureaucracy. You know, and I don't wanna
My own
rebel
personal
this
opinion is that-
against every employee in the government, it's not that. But there's some stuff going on here that is shocking to me.
I think that what you'd said about it creates more bureaucracy, I think that's the saddest thing about this, is what ends up happening is it becomes harder to be able
Right.
to access the services or the funds that people need to get supports. And so if you're savvy enough and you're able to figure out the system, that, or you then need to hire someone to help navigate through that, which is then what we do, right?
But-
And that's just all the more challenging and.
Well, I
and it's
agree, Andrew.
because And it's because we can't trust. and
But,
that's what's
but
sad.
some of this is, did nobody walk in there and say, how are you getting these meals made? Did nobody walk into these daycare centers and say, I mean, there's gotta be some, and what worries me is what Steve said a while ago, a couple meetings ago, I remember you saying it's so broad and widespread that it, right, that who knows how to stop it? And every day they turn over something. And it's not just Minnesota, it's not gonna just be Minnesota.
No, and again, but I think the key thing to keep in mind and for the public to understand is that the work that we do here
Right.
is tied to a client.
Right.
And it is different than the scandals that we're seeing that are affecting the state. Because because it is all kind of social services based, it's easy to kind of conflate the two things and cause questions about what the county is doing and some of the costs that we are seeing, and it is, they are not related.
And the part, while I'm on my soapbox, that really irritates me is, because we have fraudulent daycare centers, now we're gonna cut off all the funding for the daycare centers of our people that need help with daycare so they can do what we all want them to do, which is work. So it's just like it's never, and it'll keep you up at night if you think about it too much. So I try to take a break now and then, but.
I was, one question I've gotten asked a few times and I don't have. How many employees are in our HHS department? That would be combined old public health and
It's about 80.
that's what I said. I said, well, somebody, oh, you got over 100. And I said, no. I said, if my memory serves me, I said we had like 62, 3 and
Yeah,
social
Like 66
services and
and
about
about 14.
16. And so I said 80.
probably 80 tops.
Yeah, it's about 80.
Yeah, that's what I had, 75 to 80.
And that seems like a lot, maybe,
Yeah.
except for the work you have to go through on a grant or anything. And that all comes from state and federal government, the things, you
Well,
know,
and
the
that's
time we
part
can
of-
actually spend with the public
That's
isn't,
been some of our challenge with federal law, and that's why
Right.
we went out there last summer, was if federal law is making changes, which sound great towards fraud, waste, and
is
abuse.
everybody working?
But at the same time, what they're saying is now you need to check eligibility twice a year versus once a year.
Right.
They don't realize that in a county like Meeker, you just doubled the workload
I agree.
in that department, which means now you gotta hire people. We don't have enough fraud I mean, we hope we have no fraud, but if you have no fraud, you just doubled your expense in that department and workload, and you spent more money trying to chase fraud than you actually.
And the other part of that is we don't experience those savings.
Exactly.
So if it's on the Medicaid side, right, it's the Medicaid system that receives the savings because that person's not receiving care
Yeah.
or SNAP or whatever. We continue to bear
The impact is to our budget.
Exactly.
So them are the challenge. Yeah, it's a complicated.
One of the things that Tina's been working on is developing a report for all of us that goes through the mandated and non-mandated services
That would be good
for
to get
each
see.
unit. And that way you'll have hopefully a better sense of the things that we are required to do. We're trying to tie costs as much as we can to some of these things. Some of them it's really challenging because how much time do you devote from one person to this specific thing? And if you say, you have one service that's not mandated at all, we eliminate it, well, you don't fully save all of that because you can't shave off 3% of someone's salary, right? So but we can definitely look at it in an aggregate for the units. So that's something that we're gonna bring forward at some point in the future. It's kind of in an infant stage right now, but it's making some really good progress, so.
One comment I would make on, about Tina's leadership in that department, and this is not to diminish Paul Vukovich's work over there either, but one thing that I notice is that Tina doesn't travel alone. She brings staff with her, and the collaboration between leadership in that department, I think, has really been a good move, a good procedure move, because I think they each understand what the challenges of the other one are, and they can benefit one another where they can and help one another out and collaborate better. So I see that as a positive move for that department too, is just not working in silos so much and being able to shift back and forth, and the efficiencies they can identify have
Well,
been.
the second thing is traveling in twos. Just because you and I heard the same talk doesn't mean we perceived it the same.
That's absolutely right.
This way you can go back and you can bump it off
Yeah.
each other and say, oh, this is.
That isn't how I heard it.
But she doesn't come to a budget meeting alone. She doesn't, she's bringing the key people
Yep, I
with
see.
her. I like the way she's structuring her department.
She's doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, I think so too. Anything else? If not, I will call this meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Madam Chair. Darren?
Wait a minute, let me do this quick. Was I on?